And Gian, I mean, nobody's, I hope people understand, nobody's trying to take away from anything, but, you know, the access that you're giving us and these insights, you also touched on, speaking of stubbornness and, you know, perplexity sometimes, beyond annoyance, but perplexity, you were open enough to also say that particular moment with Mamasapano and the arrival of the remains at Villamor Air Base and PNoy electing to go to a car factory rather than welcoming the bodies there. What was going on there? I mean, it's just genuinely something that Filipinos, obviously it affected him, it affected people's perception of him at that moment. But you wrote about it and you said something about it. I was wondering if you'd be willing to share that and to expound on that.
Yes, yes. I began the article that I wrote, Remembering PNoy, with me kind of trying to understand the trauma of being born into a family that was just basically in the center of our country's political story. Your father is Noynoy Aquino. Before he went home in 1983, he takes his son aside and tells him, if anything happens, then you're the man of the house. Then Noynoy Aquino is assassinated. And I remember PNoy telling us this. Everyone was crying, everyone was emotional, and he said, well, we can't all be crying. You know, if I cried too, then we would all be crying, and who would be the man of the house? It must have been a really traumatic experience. He was 22 years old, and let's remember that this is also the guy who, I think this was during the Cory Aquino presidency, visited his girlfriend in Alabang, and on the way back home was, you know, there was an assassination attempt. And he told us about that, and he said, and I think some of his security detail died during that attempt. And he told us that he had some sort of survivor's guilt. So, minsan iniisip ko, siguro ako rin kung ganun pinagdaanan ko, magiging manhid din ako. So I was telling myself that because Mamasapano was really a difficult time for me and for a lot of people working, a lot of younger people also in government. To me, the question was, how do I live with this? How do I live with, I guess, working for a president who, you know, who ended up doing something that, you know, I honestly, I disagreed with it. And basically, how do I live with it? And those were the stories I told myself. Not to kind of shield him with his trauma, but to kind of understand the difficult situation he was put in, and also how to live with it, how to maybe forgive it, even if he never asked for forgiveness. He might feel like he never had to. So that was kind of how I would deal with those situations. Mamasapano being the most difficult one, because that was when the disagreements were, you know, I think at their height. We never really, we didn't really go back and forth with him about it, but definitely, you know, among ourselves, we discussed it very candidly.